The American bison versus the Cape buffalo. Two of the biggest land animals in the world are going at it. But who'd win in this fight to the death? Let's get into it. The American bison, usually called a buffalo, are the largest land mammals in North America, bigger than grizzlies and every other predator around them. They held cultural significance to Native Americans, becoming animals of spiritual importance. The Sioux, for instance, saw the birth of a white buffalo as the return of the white buffalo calf woman, their primary cultural prophet, and the bringer of their 7 sacred rites. Now, the bison once had herds spanning the entire North American continent, some herds of millions of bison, but commercial hunting reduced the population to near extinction. However, in one of the greatest success stories to date, recovery efforts brought the bison from 541 in 1889 to roughly 31,000 bison today. Now, the bison is massive, growing up to 12 feet long. Males can stand at 6 feet high, and on average, they weigh around 2,400 pounds. They can move up to 35 miles per hour as they come charging at you, and have 2 relatively short horns on their head that grow up to 2 feet long. They're able to ram each other with their horns, but this never really results in death, and bison tend to do it more to show off their athleticism. Their main form of attacking enemies is trampling them to death, with their greatest defense just being their size. They're the biggest animal on the plains, and nothing really dares to challenge them. Sometimes referred to as African buffaloes, Cape buffaloes, like their name suggests, live in the savannas of Central Africa. Their defining characteristic is their horns, which fuse together at their base, forming a helmet-like thing called a boss. They are widely regarded as extremely dangerous, being solely responsible for the deaths of over 200 people every year, earning them the nickname the Black Death or Widowmaker. Some have even gone as far as to claim that buffaloes kill more people in Africa each year than any other animal, although you can say the same thing about hippos or crocodiles. Like the bison, the Cape buffalo is also incredibly big, but it's a little bit smaller than the bison. They only come in at around 4 or 5 feet tall while standing, 11 feet long, and max out at just 2,000 pounds. However, they're also very fast, running at 30 miles per hour. Their greatest asset is their long horns. The horns can go up to 6 feet horizontally. Then you add on another 2 or 3 feet as they curl up into the air. Like the bison, their main form of attack are those horns and their size, goring predators to death or trampling other animals under their feet. And their greatest defense is just their size. They're roughly the same size as a rhino, and every animal is hesitant to take these things on one-on-one. Even lions know better than to try and take them on by themselves. So in a fight like this, well, which animal's gonna win? Well, the bison holds the size advantage here. It's bigger than the buffalo, and that's a pretty significant factor, especially when you're comparing two animals that are just absolute units like this. The bison's also no stranger to fighting against animals like it. They regularly take on other bisons. I've even seen videos of bison beating Spanish bulls. But the bison's larger size can also come back to bite it. It's kinda top heavy. That uneven weight distribution can make it a bit too clumsy. You can also make the argument that even if the buffalo is a little bit smaller, it's still tougher than the bison. See that boss on its head? The whole point there is to protect its head and neck as it goes into battles of dominance with other males. The bison doesn't quite have that same level of intense protection. There's also the matter of its horns. The bison's horns aren't the best for gorging an opponent. They can rarely take down wolves with their gores and resort to trampling instead. And that works on smaller predators, but it won't work against a Cape buffalo. On the other hand, the buffalo's horns are absolutely massive, and the buffalo can work them like no other, They're regularly seen killing hyenas or even lions as they gore them to death. The Cape buffalo is also much more aggressive. They don't call it the Black Death for nothing. While I'm not suggesting that a bison is like a yellow-bellied coward or something like that, the buffalo's natural aggression is gonna help it here, especially with its longer and more deadly horns. The Cape buffalo should take this fight. But what do you think?